So we're building something pretty large in scope, and it actually utilizes a lot of really novel cryptographic primitives and utilizes DAO organizational tools really like a lot. So we're building proof of knowledge, which is a way to containerize your knowledge on chain by LLM. And then the LLM, any LLM interface, ours, your private one, your game that interfaces with our data layer, any of these LLMs that query your data in the database, the vector database, you're going to get paid for that in some points, and then those points are redeemed for DeSci World tokens when the DeSci World token eventually comes out.
I think this is a good example of the power of DeSci, because you're not an LLM specialist, you're just a DGen. Yeah. And you explain that phenomenally.
Yeah.
Right? So the cross-pollination of ideas in such a way as to acquire this information is quite impressive, Joshua.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Carlos, you want to add something? You're the chief nerd officer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the platform that we're working on is really a coordination tool. And it's a way for people to find the data that they need to answer the questions that they have, and to attribute the knowledge produced to those who are more relevant in producing that knowledge. And we are super excited in seeing ways that we can leverage these things to make people do things together and coordinate really, really hard into whatever their goals are, and sort of find each other in this network of data that we have going on. And that's sort of the vision that DeSci World has. It's not necessarily about the knowledge, but rather by the use of it and how it is leveraged towards coordination.
Let's say I was passed out of my scientific degree, doctorate, just like Dr. Clark here. How do I go about getting into decentralized science? Where do I start? Is there a centralized authority? Is there a governance where I can start? How do I get started in DeSci if I am a PhD doctorate at this moment?
So you go to DeSci.world and check out the dashboard that has a list of 105 different DeSci projects that exist. 106, sorry. Different DeSci, and growing. Different DeSci projects in the space. You can learn about them. There's even a button that says contribute, and the project will determine will let you know how you can participate. So that's first order.
But, okay, so that's DeSci World. That's our main platform at DeSci.world. But we have V1, which is the current platform now. But V2 comes out in about a month. Everybody in this room, DeSci.world V2 comes out in about a month.
Actually, we should show it.
We could show you guys at some point, yeah. I've shown a few people already. It's sick. It's going to be great. That's where you should go if you want to learn about DeSci. DeSci.world.
Yeah, so in terms of contributing, go to the respective communities and just talk. I think part of this journey is exploration. So the different projects you are also the architect of how you contribute. So whatever skill sets you think are valuable or you think you can provide to a particular community, I'm sure most of them can find a place for you. So the first goal is just go out and explore and find something that's interesting for yourself, and just lean into it, and you'll figure out how you can contribute.
Let's talk about the acceptance of what the current situation or the current governance. When we talk about centralized governance, when we talk about international borders, in US, I cannot do certain things. In India, I cannot do certain things. In Dubai, I can do certain things without being taxed for it. Or in St. Kitts and Nevis, I can do certain things. Or in Malta, right? Are there certain things that I can do in the DeSci world in certain countries which I cannot in certain countries? And which are those countries?
Yeah, okay, that's a really interesting question. And there are some things that you can do with DeSci projects that would allow you to access the medical system, to be able to invest into the biomedical space as well, but more just genomics profiling and stuff like that. You can do that using these decentralized companies anywhere in the world, which is cool. But there is a large amount of DeSci, most of DeSci is trying to, follow an actual scientifically rigorous process to most of this, and especially in healthcare and things like that. If you're trying to access healthcare services, you have a lot of regulations. I mean, this guy here, Casper, can talk about
Casper Barnes of Amino Chain.
Amino acids, huh?
Amino Chain.
That's all I know about amino, bro.
Amino Chain is the future of decentralized biobanking.
BCAA? Is that amino in there?
Backed by A16Z.
What is BCAA? Probably Dr. Bach knows here.
It's BCAA is blockchain amino acids.
No, bro.
Isn't it?
What?
Branch chain.
Branch chain amino acids. My bad.
Blockchain amino acids.
Yo, he went down the route. He took the
DJ,
pill.
man, he's coming quick.
It's crazy that I genuinely thought that's what it was. Yeah, branch chain amino acids.
What's amino about?
Amino chain is a decentralized protocol that connects together clinical sites, biobanks, and biopharma companies that are trying to get access to biosamples. So in a very simple way, what we do is turn donated biopsy samples and other donated biosamples into NFTs. And then we have an NFT marketplace from people that provide samples to people that are trying to buy them. And so the donor can always see where the NFT representing their sample goes, how it's used in scientific research, and whenever someone buys their sample, we can pay a royalty on that transaction back to the donor. Yeah.
So like when he talks about, taking these services in these countries, the regulation space, you have to deal with the regulation space of the country you're in, right? So how do you have a globally distributed network?
NFTs are great for representing one-of-a-kind, unique objects. Smart contracts are essentially they're very customizable types of code, which you publish on blockchains, and they essentially create the rules for certain applications or certain products, which the cryptography of trust is provided by the underlying protocol. So that's what a smart contract is, and an NFT stands for non-fungible token, and it is a digital asset representation of something that is non-fungible, one of a kind, and unique. NFTs are a way for you to own certain assets within a digital world. Yeah. So it's a way for you to attribute ownership of your belongings within an interconnected ecosystem, which could be the internet, or it could be a variety of blockchain integrated databases and applications.
Specifically through the Proof of Knowledge platform, you have knowledge attested to a wallet address with people claiming rewards from that wallet address. So you have like ownership over these ideas, but you're encouraged to have these ideas moved or used more, queried more. It's kind of like an inverse IP model, right? More your data is used, the more you get. And so trust and security, basically we're just filling it with knowledge and it's filtering the knowledge based on coherence and value to the query. And so trust kind of, the data is just out there. You can verify it yourself. Trust doesn't really become such an issue, I don't think. I suppose it could be fake knowledge. But
we've designed tokenomic structures, token economic structures.
The fake knowledge is like siftable because at scale, fake knowledge exists in isolation from the truth, right? You just have to make sure that plays out.
I think that the complexity of crypto and the creation of trustless systems allows you to actually simplify the way things work. We are in a place where our systems of governance are so obfuscated and so complex that if you don't understand crypto, try understanding the supply chain. It's even worse. Try understanding like traditional banking, try understanding the scientific research process. None of it makes sense, and it's like that on purpose to keep people from accessing these systems. And the moment when DeSci turns into something better is when DeSci offers something that is just simple, something that actually solves people's problems and allows people to do things that they couldn't do before. And like we can talk about ERC20s, NFTs, that all is conceptual, but what problems are we trying to address? The real problem is people don't have the ability to claim a truth. And like that's a simple statement that simply is lost upon people because on Twitter you pretend that you own your tweets and your identity under your things, but the moment when Elon Musk can just take your handle, then NFTs make sense, because the whole thing about NFTs is stuff that cannot be taken away from you because you own the private keys. And eventually we were going to call NFTs just stuff, because it's just stuff that you have a claim to. And when the scientific knowledge is not something that people think is just for scientists, but rather than it's structured knowledge that we produce, then it's not about science or making science or looking at microscopes or whatever, but rather about like telling your own truth and like not allowing other people to deny that. And that simple thing is what we are fighting for in DeSci, not like NFTs or your C20s or like anything else, just our ability to claim things.
How does DeSci.World Nerd Labs plan to involve, let's say, diverse, someone like me, or someone I refer, stakeholders, researchers, funders, and general public in the scientific process?
So, when I explained earlier about our system building with POK, some novel cryptographic primitives, but I also said the DAO organizational structures. So, the DAO organizational structures of DeSci World are these sub-DAO delegations, as they're called, but it's like sub-DAO units that we're calling research collectives that attach to DeSci World. DeSci World then becomes like an organization, I guess. It feeds some incentives to these research collectives. The research collectives can use these incentives to, do more science amongst their group. And so the research collectives can be anything. And so anybody from anywhere in the world can create a research collective of something that they're, that they're interested in, that they have knowledge about, right? And then we can fund those organizations through the DeSci World organization emissions schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's an emissions schedule of tokens that are emitted that are given as incentives or funding or whatever you want to call it, streamed. Yeah, I mean, like that's one of the mechanisms. There's also like the knowledge itself, the more it's used and queried, you're getting these points which are also redeemable for a portion of these emissions. So there's like a split on how the emissions are incentivizing the knowledge creation process and the research collective formation process, right? Like it's a big thing. And you can imagine like thousands of these things, right? Like thousands of these sub-DAOs, research collectives, each producing passive income from their knowledge, and like at the same time, right, they can still apply for the medical research positions in newspapers and wherever, right? As long as it's not under, protection of the data.
So in addition to the technical product, we also have social products, right? The question of how do we onboard or how do we help get different stakeholders into DeSci is we are the major DeSci advocates. So we host conferences around the world. We help nucleate communities in different regions around the world. And the whole goal is to, while we can leverage proof of knowledge to ingest and accept people in, we also want to disseminate the information from within to those who are not in the space yet. So it's a dual ecosystem where you can learn about DeSci and also participate in DeSci through one ecosystem. And it touches on all aspects of DeSci.
That's awesome, Jelani, Josh.
DeSci.World V2.
Incredible. How does DeSci.World plan to ensure long-term sustainability and scalability? Scalability of D-Science ecosystem. Well, is this gonna last forever, Josh?
Well, there's an emissions schedule, right? So for as long as the emissions schedule is going, there's going to be tokens sustaining the ecosystem, right? The DeSci World proof of knowledge ecosystem. So yeah, for like 100 years, if we set it to that,
A century.
Yeah. I'm being reminded of
Okay.
my fiduciary duty to report that that we are also going to be generating a long-term external revenue sources, because the chatbots themselves, right? Okay, the interfaces to the knowledge that you put into the interfaces, the chatbots, the personal custom GPT LLMs that are informed by your select knowledge, right? Those things you can charge access for as a user and have a service. Now you have a service way to take your knowledge and provide pay $5 and know everything about speed running Zelda, or knowing about how to cure a cold with herbs or some shit, right? Whatever. That's external revenue stream for you, and we take a 5%, 10%, haven't decided yet, cut on the...
Can you just list maybe 10 branches of DeSci?
The fuck?
I could be a molecular scientist, I could be a psychopharmacologist, I could be a phlebotomist. What branches in scientific research are eligible or have an incentive for them to go away from centralization and come to DeSci?
All of them.
Every single one.
All of them, it's true. But archaeology.
What?
Decentralized archaeological projects where you just go and do digs and to do it without people saying no. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Right? Right?
Who the fuck is this guy?
Come on, man. Decentralized archaeology. I'm telling you.
Grab a shovel.
Get enough money, you can get more than a shovel, my friend.
He's still going.
I tell you.
Thank you.